you can open up the receptors of all those layers of yourself, of your body, the energetic and the physical. You can open it up, and through opening up the amount of receptors that you have available to the other person, you are inviting in a level of connection that you may have previously never experienced before.
This is The Deep Dive with Adam Roa.
What's up, deep divers? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Deep Dive podcast. My name is Adam Roa. Today's a deep dive musing, which means it's just you and me. We're going into a topic today that I think is something everyone is interested in, which is the key to better sex. The key to better sex. There's actually one. I found one key that is the starting point for anyone who wants to have better sex. And it's not thinking about baseball or your grandmother, guys. For those of you who are doing that, that's not the answer. It may have worked for a while, but it's not the answer. And so before I get into this topic, I just want to say thank you to those of you who have been leaving reviews on the podcast. It really does help, and it means a lot to me. So for those of you who've been getting value out of this, who haven't yet left a review, please take 30 seconds, leave a review, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow button, and all the things that help the algorithm so that this podcast continues to grow and spread. I appreciate you. And so let's dive right in to the key to better sex. The key to better sex, presence. I was going to say something smart ass, but it's actually so simple and yet not easy, right? They're simple, but not easy. Presence. This is the foundation to being more involved in any aspect of your life is presence. Okay, I want you to think about this. Think about how as a human, you have all of your senses, right? Well, if you're somewhere else with your consciousness, meaning as if you're walking through life and you're consumed with all the thoughts of what you need to do or what's going on over here or what's happening over there or what you got to do tomorrow. Well, there is a part of your bandwidth. There's an amount of your consciousness that is actually not in the present moment. All of your senses happen in the present moment. And so if you have removed a certain amount of bandwidth from the present moment and therefore from your senses, you are desensitizing yourself. And better sex is not desensitized. Better sex is actually more sensation, because through that sensation, we are also feeling more deeply connected. How do you get more sensation in your body? You get more connected to your body. How do you get more sensation with the person that you're with? You develop more connection to the person that you're with, or persons for some of you polyamorous. You know what you're doing. And so I feel like when you think about presence and bringing more presence into any experience, but specifically into the bedroom in a sexual dynamic, if you're anything like me, I don't know, 10 years ago, before I started my journey of developing more presence, I would have asked, how do you do that? Sure, it's great conceptually, but how do you even do that? The key to presence is your breath. Always. Always. That's why every single meditative practice always begins with your breath and bringing awareness to your breath. And so one of the starting points in Tantra for yourself is learning how to breathe in a way that moves your own sexual energy. One of the starting points of Tantra with a partner is learning how to have tantric breathing together so that you begin your microcosmic orbit together. You actually circulate your energy as a unit. So your two individual orbits of energy, of your sexual energy, begin to orbit together. So as I'm drawing the energy up through my body, I'm creating like this Ankh shape, right, with a partner where it's coming out and around and into them and through them, and I'm breathing her energy in and vice versa, and we're creating this massive field of electricity, of charge, of energy, and that happens through the breath. And this is very important because for a lot of people, when they're, especially for men, I'll speak as a man, I will sometimes find myself wanting to contract. And that includes in my breathing. That means shortening my breathing. That means becoming shallow with my breathing, or even holding my breath as I try and not ejaculate. As I try and hold back, there's a contraction that happens. And yet through practice, what you learn is actually that contraction is tensing up all those muscles and is creating even more actual pressure in the genitals, and therefore is often something that's going to lead to the explosion that you're looking to avoid. And through relaxation ahead of time, by the way, once you hit like a 9.5 on the Richter scale, you're going over already. There's like nothing you can do. Maybe there's that $1 million spot thing you can do in your perineum. Go look it up. But the truth is that as you're approaching climax, it's very important for you to consciously relax. And how do you relax? You breathe. No one's relaxed when they're not breathing. It's counterintuitive. And so deep belly breaths and deep presence. And so this applies to legitimately right at the end of the act, so to speak, but it also applies to the beginning. And so if you want to start off a sexual encounter with a heightened level of sensitivity, a heightened level of connection, and therefore a more impactful, more deeply, like you're going to feel more in the experience, I highly suggest that you take a little time to breathe together. I know, it sounds kind of cheesy. It sounds a little bit hippie woo-woo. You want to get right into it. Are you removing some of the romance? Are you removing some of the spontaneity? Hey, listen, if you are just hitting it as a quickie in the car before you go to dinner or the bathroom at a party or whatever, maybe that's not the time to have the deep, like 5 minutes of breath together. Sure. And if you are with your partner and you're both into the idea that you can have more connected sex and therefore more pleasurable experience together, then take 5 minutes and sit across from each other. Even better, get into yabyong, have her intertwined with you, sitting in front of you or on your lap, and breathe together. And you can do it different ways, by the way. You could breathe in while I'm breathing in, she's breathing out, and vice versa. Or we can breathe in and out together at the same time. You can even get to the point where you're breathing each other's air. So I'm exhaling into her as she's inhaling, and vice versa. There's a lot of different ways to do the breath. And without getting into too much specifics about when and where to do which ones, I'm simply just suggesting that you breathe together and allow yourselves, your nervous systems, to co-regulate and start to engage in a way that makes you one. Because you're about to merge your energy bodies, you're about to merge your physical bodies, and they're layered on top of each other, which means you're also going to be merging your emotional bodies and your mental bodies. So in that experience, you can open up the receptors of all those layers of yourself, of your body, the energetic and the physical. You can open it up, and through opening up the amount of receptors that you have available to the other person, you are inviting in a level of connection that you may have previously never experienced before. And as you start to go down this path of sexual activity being a ceremonial practice, there's going to be some pretty crazy responses to what happens here. Meaning, an orgasm could lead to a fit of crying or yelling or anger coming up. Because as our nervous systems relax, and as our sexual energy, which has carried so much wounding and is one of the most powerful force, it's our life force energy. I mean, there may be nothing more powerful than our creative sexual life force energy that flows through us. As we allow that to move through us in a state of deep relaxation and nervous system relaxation, it is going to move stuck energy through our bodies at a level that we may have never experienced before. And so the responses are going to be powerful. So be prepared for that. That's a good thing. That's where sex, we remove the taboo. We remove the fact that it needs to be about power or conquest. And we remember that sex is divine. Sex is sacred. Sex is an opportunity for two individuals or more, like I said, whatever you're into, getting the opportunity to expand into levels of divinity that you previously haven't known. It's magic, sex magic. And the key, the starting place, is presence. And the last thing I'll say to this is, if you're masturbating, see if you can do the same thing. See if you can breathe deeply. See if you can allow yourself to connect to your own body before you think you just need to get to the end and the conclusion. Because you're training yourself what it means to activate your sexual energy. Does activating my sexual energy mean that I'm supposed to get to orgasm as quickly as possible? Or does activating my sexual energy mean, oh, I'm about to get into right relationship with my body? And then on occasion with someone else's body. So, presence through breath as the starting point, the key to better sex. Thank you for listening to this. I hope that this leads to some magnificent lovemaking sessions. So be sure to send me messages and let me know how this works in your own life. I would love to get those messages. And thank you. Thank you for being a part of this deep dive tribe. Thank you for continuing to ask these questions and being willing to do the work to become the best version of who you're here to be. That's what we're all doing, and we're doing it together. I want to remind you that always, in all ways, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Remember that relationships and sexuality is one of the pillars that we teach in the Create community. If you'd like to learn from me and other people, world-class facilitators in this realm, go to www.thecreatecommunity.com. Check out what we got going on. Much love, everybody.